Good morning, Central Kentucky. It's time for another edition of the Sporting Times radio show, live and local right here from the five-syllable city of Elizabethtown, Kentucky on 101.5 ESPN Radio. Good morning, y'all. Steve Thompson with you. Hope you had a great week, and it looks like a beautiful weekend. Get out and enjoy all the blessings of Mother Nature this weekend. Should be a great one. Great to have you with us each and every Saturday from 8:30 to 10 o'clock right here on your home for sports. Kentucky's only syndicated high school sports radio talk program, broadcasting weekly from Owensboro, Bowling Green, Glasgow, Bardstown, and right here on 101.5 ESPN Radio. Little Stevie ready to get you going this morning. Want to thank our fine sponsors. We are Russell Athletics. Stop into your local retailers today for the best in Russell Athletic and outdoor wear. A great line of new athletic products. I've got a Russell shirt on with dry weave technology. Woo, gotta love it. Somebody's earning their money there. Also, our good friends at Elizabethtown Community and Technical College. The door to your opportunities is open at ECTC. Check them out online. Great bi-term classes still available for the summer. Also, fall classes. Never too early to get registered and scheduled. Check them out online, Elizabethtown Community and Technical College. Our good friends at InTouch Massage Therapy, 1201 North Dixie, is where the athletes go. Pedicures, manicures, massages of all modalities, fitness classes. They got it going on. Results you can feel. It's our good friends at InTouch Massage Therapy and Spa. And it's your community expanded. That's right, Bluegrass Cellular, one of the best cellular companies anywhere, bar none. Bluegrass Cellular, a fine sponsor of Battles on the Bluegrass coming up. Man, football's right around the corner. Hard to believe, isn't it? Thanks to Bluegrass for all their support of the Sporting Times, and y'all as well. God bless you, man. 5 years going strong here at Elizabethtown, and a new show over in Bardstown is really starting to take off, too. 97.1 on Wednesday nights from 5:30 to 6:30. And they rebroadcast that on a cable channel on Thursday nights. I will never, ever see it. I remember that first show I did there, and they had that camera in there. It just tripped me out. Yeah. That's why I do radio. Well, we got a great show for you today. It is an all track and field extravaganza, and justifiably so. North Hardin Track in the house today. Coach James Webb, the CEO of Operation Domination. What a great season for both the girls and boys squads at North Hardin. A back-to-back two-for repeat for the guys, and the girls just coming up a little short, following up a great performance last year. And, you know, if you looked at all the holes that needed to be filled, and there were some big holes, more so I would say in the girls squad than the guys, but these junior classes from last year really, really stepped up, and the underclassmen as well. And when you went through the scoring and you actually looked at where, you know, a majority of the points come from, obviously North Hardin very good at finishing number one or number two in a lot of events. But, man, I tell you what, it's the unsung heroes of track and field. We'll talk to Coach James Webb about that. Kids that give you extra points here and there that really, really can make the difference. Also, Coach John Russell, the girls track coach from North Hardin, also the cross-country coach, will join us, and we'll talk about the great season the ladies had and find out what's on the horizon next year. Of course, Kiana Gray will be in the studio today, Miss Track and Field from North Hardin, and what a phenomenal run she had as a junior and now a senior. We'll talk to Kiana as far as what she's got planned for next year. I mean, she keeps raising the bar and setting more objectives and goals for herself, and I don't know how you can top this year, but I tell you what, if I was going to put my good money in anybody, it'd be Kiana Gray. Also, some other members of the team will show up today, we hope, and it's always a surprise affair, and we love that. Also, we've got Mackenzie Pennington and Abby Chandler, Central Hardin Lady Bruin cross-country and track runners, seniors this year. They were the senior leaders on this year's team, and they'll be joining us. And, of course, the one, the only, Wikipedia Chuck Feist, will join us here in just a minute whenever he gets up. You know, Chuck's a night guy, and I appreciate that. I remember when we went to an hour-and-a-half show. We went from 9 o'clock to 8:30. Chuck was like, no, you got to be kidding me, man. That's 30 minutes of sleep. But with ESPN Game Day coming in at 10 o'clock, anything we do to grow the show has to be before that. So we give Chuck 15 minutes for good behavior. Check out our website, www.sportingtimesmagazine.com, www.sportingtimesmagazine.com for the best in 3rd, 4th, and 5th region high school sports. And talking about great high school sports, congratulations to our good buddy, Coach Goodman, over at Central Hardin, and his staff were being named 5th Region Coaches of the Year, and a much-deserved honor. I mean, this program, if you turn the clock back, has just been phenomenal. As far from a performance standpoint, not only individual performances, but team performances came up a little short this year. What I still can't believe this year in softball and baseball just was, I think, a very special one. Anyone that's a fan of high school sports knows that this was about as good as it gets. The Bethlehem E-Town game, about as good as it gets. Had Coach Robinson on the show in Bardstown Wednesday night, and he said, E-Town and Bethlehem were kind of in the same spot. We just nobody could get anything going. The pitching was outstanding. And hats off to Sullivan at E-Town. Didn't get far enough credit throughout the season. And really, when it counts, got the job done. And, of course, the bunt that scored the run will also help on the resume. So congratulations to E-Town. What a great run for the Panthers. Coach Pitts and the guys working very, very hard to get back in. And also Coach Robinson and Bethlehem. It's interesting. We always talk, Chuck and I always look at teams as far as who they're going to lose and who they're going to gain. And significant players that are juniors or sometimes sophomores. And it still never ceases to amaze me how in Kentucky, if you're a talented middle schooler and you've got the chops to cut it, in many sports you can play up. And, old school, seniors and juniors typically started on varsity. And if you were talented enough to be on the team as a freshman and sophomore, heck, you could have been LeBron James and they wouldn't have played you because that's just the way it went. Today, things have changed. And, Kentucky's one of the few states or commonwealths, if you will, that does this. Well, there's a group of people that want Kentucky to stop doing this. And personally, I love it. I think if you are blessed to have intuitive and instinctive skills as a young student athlete, or, someone like Coach Webb's combing the halls and see somebody that looks fast as lightning and ends up being fast, why not? I mean, it's all performance-based. And we would have never been able to see great players like Natalie Greenwell, play for all those years. So there's a group of people, and I think it's parent-based, that say that this policy has hurt middle school sports in the state of Kentucky. And I don't see it that way. But nonetheless, the KHSAA is looking at the possibility of changing that rule, which I think would be a real crime for schools, especially rural schools that don't have a lot of players that might find themselves in a deficiency. What if you got an outstanding 8th grade pitcher? How many outstanding 8th grade and freshman pitchers have we had in softball? If they weren't able to play, how different would that make the architecture of a season? So I say leave it alone. Change is good sometimes, but not all the time. And it really, I think, adds an element of excitement and also gives, some younger athletes an opportunity to step up and fulfill a dream at a very early age. So that's my 2 cents. You can bank on it. All right. Coach Goodman and his assistants, coaches of the year, the 5th Region All-Region team, Kelsey McGuffin, Player of the Year, follows Jordan Lassley last year, back-to-back repeat there for the Lady Bruins, and congratulations to Kelsey. What a phenomenal player. Also, Jessica Null, April Pence, and Mariah Bryant on the Lady Bruins squad. For E-Town, Taylor Thomas, Callie Sundergaard, and Sarah Beth Hunley made the team. LaRue County, Bridget Skaggs, and Peyton Gardner. From Greene County, Kayla Bale and Brianna Scott. We'll talk about Greene County here in just a second. Marion County, Jordan Thomas, and Kylie Benefield. So congratulations to the Central Hardin squad, coaching staff for 5th Region Coaches of the Year, and all the fine 5th Region players for making the team. Also a shout-out to Chanel Roberts, since we're talking about North Hardin track, finished 21st in the nation in NAIA in the shot put. So congratulations, Chanel, and getting it done. And, you get on the big stage, I mean, there's a lot of competition, and she's a great, great competitor. Joining us in studio now, my sidekick, the man with the plan, Mr. Chuck. Good morning, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Actually, I just got through filing through some photos from, our state softball tournament up there, which actually I was there Thursday night for the very first day, and it really was it's always an interesting feeding ground because it's not just for the fans and the players that are participating, but it's also a big opportunity for the scouts and recruiters down there. I ran into Rachel Lawson, fresh from her World Series softball in the NCAA, and she was down there watching some of the kids. I remember the first year I believe Rachel started out, which was 2008, and chatted a little bit about the progress the team had made, during that time. When she first got there, I think they may have had, because college softball started in fast pitch about 1996 or 97, and I think they may have only had about 2 or 3 seasons where they were above 500. She takes over the program after that in about 2008, and the program starts to make some general progress, but a lot of that had to go through recruiting.
Right.
And I specifically pointed out, I said, you probably don't remember me, but I actually met you on your very first season there. And I was there to interview one of her players, Jennifer Young, who actually pitched at North Hardin. And, of course, Jennifer got quite a few starts her first season there. But as the recruiting got better and better, she saw her playing time dwindle. But also that had a lot to do with the fact that the quality of players continued to get better.
Yeah, and if you were to ask her what option she'd want, A or B, they want to be competitive. You play at that level, you want to be competitive.
Well, you have to be. I think it was 99 or 2000
yeah,
when they actually had won the SEC tournament and then went right back to mediocrity, in a matter of speaking.
Yeah, but, unfortunately, that happens a lot in sports, Chuck. Now this year was kind of an exception to the rule here locally in high school, because a lot of the teams that on paper looked like they would be at a deficit this year, sure as heck didn't perform that way. So, yeah, you definitely, but it all comes down to recruiting at that level. And once you get to a point where people nationally, you can go out and say, hey, we've accomplished this and this and this, kids will come.
Well, it was interesting. I'm watching Greene County play Apollo, which was the third region representative. And, what struck me was when Apollo jumped ahead 2-0, finally got ahead. And this was one of those games where it was nip and tuck all the way, no scores. Then finally they move ahead in the bottom of the 4th inning. I remembered something a stat that I saw. Greene County's been to the state tournament 2 times before that. In both instances, they lost their very first game, both times by 1 run. So I'm thinking, well, looks like that's going to change. Sure enough, in the top of the 6th, Brianna Scott comes up and hits a 2-run home run. Yeah. And this was one of those balls where it was just staying up in the air forever. And she had fought off about 7 or 8 pitches on a 3-2 count just to stay alive. And the outfielder's drifting towards the wall. And if you've ever been out to Owensboro at their sports park, they have these retractable walls where if you can just bump into them and literally knock them down. It was the second time I saw an outfielder chase a ball and knock over the wall and fall trying to catch the ball. So Scott ties the game up, and I'm beginning to think, well, they're finally going to break this trend because they've lost their first game the last 2 times to Lone Oak and to Reedland. And sure enough, Apollo comes right back in the top of their inning and scores a run to go ahead and end up winning that game. Wow.
What a great run, though. And they did the same thing in the other appearances. They get in the consolation bracket. And that's brutal. What'd they play, 3 games yesterday?
They after that game, they had to play 3 yesterday in order to do that, in order to stay alive because you're in the elimination bracket. They ended up beating Estelle County.
That was a squeaker, right? Like 10-9 or something like that?
Yes, it was incredible. I mean, Kaylee Bale, the catcher, has 4 hits. And in the 9th inning, which was the extra innings, that was when the Greene County kind of exploded. When the game was close, they sent 9 batters to the plate. Scored 4 runs. Estelle comes right back, scores 3, leaves a person on base when they had a chance to tie it. And then, of course, they play in the next game a legitimate contender for the state title, Anderson County. Yeah. This was another game that they could have won either way. They ended up pulling that one out 8-5. Kaylee Bale has 2 hits. What really was interesting was Greene County explodes for 6 runs in the top of the 5th inning. 5 of those runs were unearned, all on throwing errors, which makes a huge difference. Then, of course, they played Mercy in the elimination round and then lost that game in a game where their Mercy's pitcher, who Mercy's still alive, Thomas, throws 104 pitches, has a strikeout in every inning, and had 14 strikeouts in that game. There was just simply no way they could beat that team.
Wow. Is she their number 1?
Yes, I believe so.
See, it's all that rotation. It's how it works out. And 104 pitches. You imagine if you pitched a lot yesterday. I'm sure it would be kind of pushing the threshold there. 3 games.
They chart the pitchers nowadays, especially in softball. And the one that impressed me the most was that Estelle County's pitcher stayed in pretty much the entire time in the extra inning game, threw 156 pitches during that time, and still was pretty sharp until that last inning when she gave up a lot of runs off 13 hits.
Yeah, that's the explosive nature of the game. But congratulations to the Lady Dragons. I mean, they were in the mix. They weren't expected to win the region. I don't think anybody had them penciled in. And a very competitive school, great kids, great coaches. And, God bless them, man. When a rural school can win the 5th Region Championship against great teams like the Banshees and the Lady Bruins, and wow, what an accomplishment.
And for a team that, since Fast Pitch started in 95, had never won a region title until 2010. Suddenly, they have become a player every year.
Yeah.
They have been involved in and how the race ends up in the 5th region.
We talk about schools gaining identities through the success of programs. And, when you look at Greene County, I'm not thinking football or basketball. I'm thinking volleyball. I'm thinking softball. I mean, and it's no offense to the other programs, but those are the programs that and golf, of course, because they've knocked down a state championship, and so schools a lot of times become defined by the success of their programs. And of course, today we have one of the best in the house. I mean, Operation Domination, whether it's 2004, 2013, 2014. And, you're a North alum. How special. And people don't understand to win back-to-back state championships. It just doesn't happen, man. It doesn't happen.
Well, they were actually a player in the field for many, many years, even during that time.
Oh, yeah.
Back when I was going to school. And I remember that was one thing that everybody remembered North Hardin for besides boys basketball, also track and field. Where they really excel at is the short distances, 100, 200, 300-yard dashes, the relays. For some reason, they cannot be beat there. And it's been kind of like that for a long time.
Yeah, that's Operation Domination.
In the longer distances, you might be able to catch them, but it's difficult to do that if they only have to run about 200 meters.
Well, and the relay teams, I mean, I ran on a lot of relay teams, and we didn't go, 4 guys at the same proficiency level. I mean, and Coach Webble, he'll validate this. I mean, they've got folks running both on the girls and boys sides in these relay groups that are number ones in their chosen event. So I mean, it's tough to beat them. I mean, you look at all the relay victories in the years that they've knocked down the big one. It's very impressive.
Just like Corey Krupinski said, who was running track for Central Hardin this year, and he just got beat by one of their athletes. And I said, so these guys are pretty hard to beat, aren't they? He said, yeah, the North has athletes every year.
Well, it's funny, last year when Grayson County played North in football, the whole defensive strategy was containment, because they said if North gets to the line of scrimmage, we're toast. We can't, and that's how they beat them. They just they wouldn't let them out of the backfield. They just closed the corners, and Ruggiero couldn't get anything going over the top. But on paper, the fastest team you'll find. It's impressive, very impressive. All right, well, you're listening to Sporting Times radio show every Saturday, live and local, right here on 101.5 ESPN Radio from the 5-syllable city of Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Steve Thompson, Chuck Feist, Operation Domination, North Hardin Track. After this, we'll be back.